Has this ever happened to you? Don't you wish there was a way to masterfully create one of those multiplayer brawlers? Well, today is your lucky day as I have the answers. Let's begin. So the place where you want to start is by picking an interesting and never done before theme. This theme will carry your game through to completion, so picking the right one is very important. Here is what similar games themes are. Gang Beast is ragdolls, Spiderheck is spiders, Stick Fight is, well, stickmen, and Rounds is a deck builder. From these, we can see the theme you choose should be very general and easy to understand. Now your next step is to try and base every single design choice off that theme. And when I mean every choice, I mean everything, down to the UI. Like look at the games already mentioned. If you get rid of the title on the title screen, it still screams that particular game. Someone should be able to look at any section of your game and recognize it as that game. Once you have a theme, you need to make the actual fighting mechanics for the game. These are going to be the main features of your fighting game, so they need to be fun, interesting, and rewarding. There are a lot of small things in this section, so let's just begin. Movement. Good movement is critical, as fighting is not only about killing, but also dodging, regrouping, and getting yourself into a better position. Progression. Not only should you have progression between battles, but also during each battle. Every player should be able to come up with a micro goal, like getting a new weapon, getting to a higher elevation, or finding a barricade to protect themselves. This allows for many strategic decisions to be made during the fight, thus making it more interesting. Maps. To help with this, having many maps is necessary. Off the top of my head, I don't know any game of this genre that only has one map. I mean, even Tanks has multiple maps. Lots of maps force the player to adapt to the new surroundings and come up with a new plan. Control. This is a smaller section, but the player must feel like they have full control over their character. They should never lose feeling like it was the game's fault, but instead an error in their skill set. Weapons. Having multiple weapons is necessary. This can be in the form of a wide selection of guns and swords seen in games like Stick Fight or Spiderheck, or just having the player be able to do different attacks with their own strengths and weaknesses, like with the kick, punch, headbutt, and lift seen in Gang Beast. Subscribe. Subscribe? Just do it. Helps out a lot and is just one button away. And finally we have equality. Every player should be just as likely to win. No one should feel outmatched, and any advantage that a player should have should come from their own skill, and not just be given. Otherwise, it makes the battle boring and uninteresting. Each player should always be able to have a full comeback and win at any time. To achieve this, have the players control the same character, or have characters with different attacks but are balanced, or, like how Rounds does it, where through winning you make your opponent come stronger. Every single multiplayer fighting game that I can think of has these 6 sections in one way or another, so why shouldn't your game also? You might be hesitant to add all of these, as that would make your game like all the others, but trust me, you will need some sort of version of each of these in your fighting game. Combinations are the next section. You should try to maximize the amount of ways to play in your game. Having options that completely change up the battles increases the complexity and enjoyment of the game. Your goal is to add enough features to allow each battle in each setting to feel unique and different. I'm going to throw a bunch of numbers onto the screen right now. These numbers are the amount of different combinations of options that affect gameplay in each of these games. The 2 games that achieve this section the most are easily Spiderheck and Rounds. Spiderheck has these cool modifications which are really fun to play with, and Rounds is a deck builder with 67 cards, so 5 cards per round for both players allows for, yes, that is a very, very big number. The more the better, as they say, as it makes each time you fight completely different and allows for more exhilarating scenarios. The next point you should add is single player game modes, as although not necessary, does increase your audience to friendless people like me. Anyway, why you want single player game modes is that even though it takes away from being the point of being a multiplayer brawler, it still allows for players to play your game by themselves and hopefully recommend it to their friends. A game that does these really well is Spiderheck. It has parkour, survival, and Tears of Heck, which are really fun to play by yourself. Rounds nearly has a single player mode if you press B on this screen, but the bot cannot choose cards, which is really depressing. The ideas I have listed above are nice to have as a player, but don't really help with selling the game. For example, Stick Fight hasn't had an update in ages, but still has over 500 people playing it right now. Gang Beasts doesn't really have any single player modes, but still has more players playing it right now than Spiderheck, which is a newer game with many of these single player modes. This made me question, what do these games do to make themselves so popular? And I found two things. Number 1. Theme. Both Stickfight and Gang Beasts, and to a lesser extent Rounds, are very generic in their themes, them being ragdolls, stickfight, and a deck builder. While the one game that has less players has a theme of spiders, which one wouldn't think at first when they think of multiplayer fighters. The more niche the theme, the harder it is to find. This kinda goes into the less is more rule, but that's a topic for another day. The second reason is that these games have had a lot more coverage than others on YouTube. More views equals more people knowing your game exists, which equals more sales. So use this knowledge how you will. These aren't the only ways to make a game succeed at marketing, but I think they definitely help. So you have made your game, uploaded it, and gotten a fan base. Good job you. But now you wonder where you'll go from here. You could stop developing the game, but then the hype around it will die pretty quick. For reference, let's see what Gang Beasts has done. It has uploaded a new map every few years or so, and this works surprisingly well. I mean, even I, who has had the game for ages, has gone back and tried the new map. You don't need to continuously update the game until the day you die, but having at least a few updates every now and then keeps the old players coming back and hopefully bringing new players with them. So those were all the tips that I could find in other fighting games. If you see any other tips that I missed, comment them down below. I am genuinely curious in what you have found. Basically, if you took anything from this video, let it be that if you want to make a multiplayer fighting game, your goal was to make every encounter unique and fun. Hope you enjoyed this video essay, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Anyway, see ya!